John and I got the same memo.
Mm-hmm.
No other Taz's.
It is 8:30. I call this meeting of the Riley County Commission to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Good morning, everybody. And, from a new and unique perspective again, after a year down on the other end there. Still need to send Clancy a bill for the cleanup originally on his desk over there, but wanted to start this morning off too and send my condolences to Commissioner McKinley. I did put these in my comments, but on the passing of his mom over the weekend. Thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family during this obviously difficult time. I wish him very, very well. So with that, we'll start off as usual with some public comments this morning. I start off at Zoom and I don't see anybody up there. So we'll move on to the chamber. And looks like we got people this morning. We'll start with John.
Well, John can go, then Russell and I.
Oh, okay. I'm assuming you have a public notice to inform us on.
Just to remind you that,
Go ahead and get behind the podium there, please.
just want to remind everybody, the transfer station will be closed Saturday for repairs to the crane and the scale.
Okay.
And hopefully everything goes right with the scale. A little more to have everything open up again.
If for some reason it doesn't, what's your time frame on getting a notice out? And
Probably Monday, as soon as we can Monday.
okay. Okay. And Alice, did you say you had something?
Yeah, Russell and I.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Russell.
This could be good. This could be bad. I don't know.
We just thought we'd comment on the article that was in the Mercury and how it wasn't exactly accurate. I don't know if you saw it Saturday, but they made some statements about how we, the county, hired 3 people to take Pat's place.
Oh, yeah.
It cost twice,
Nearly double.
double the money, which none of that's true, but
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So we just thought we'd make that statement here.
Oh.
And that from the budgeted amount for last year, it'll actually be a savings of about 26,000. So, and we just changed the fire chief's job to a deputy chief, and we didn't have anybody from a year ago to now.
Yeah.
And prior to that, we added 1 person. We had 2 people before, we have 3
Right.
from 2 years ago.
Right. And the original discussion was going to be 3, but we pared it down to the 2. And then when you came on board, it was going to be what it originally was. And then we've pared it down once again to 2 deputies. So yeah, okay. I didn't catch the article.
So Alice has conversed with Mercury and they've printed 1 or 2 retractions.
Part of the retraction. They retracted part of the story, but not all of it. And we just wanted to make sure the commissioners were aware that we were addressing the inaccurate reporting on behalf of the Mercury, and that they are aware of it and retracted part of it, but not all of the story. So some of it's still inaccurate. So we just want to make sure taxpayers know that that's not the case.
Right. Appreciate that. Yeah, we worked long and furious last year on developing how to go about this, how about incorporating all 3 of those under one umbrella with 2 different HRs and COVID and trying to hire and everything else. It was quite the process. So I think we did it right.
Well, and so many people are new. I mean, if you remember, Commissioner Ford might remember, but it started out as a potential dividing that up into 2 totally separate departments, which would have been significantly more staff because then you needed more administrative assistance. And so they pared it down from what really would have been an even more costly measure if you separated it out into 2 departments.
I think if I remember right, Rich, there was a total of 4 new people and then 2 part-time people to do bookkeeping and keeping up with communication side, and we pared it all the way down to what we have now. So I can't think of a better way to go about this at this point in time. So.
Yeah, if you really follow the story through from the very beginning, it's a significant savings from what was originally proposed.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't aware of the article, and I appreciate you bringing it up. Thank you. Okay, any more public comments this morning? No?
Briefly, Commissioners, I'd like you to add an executive session to my administrative time. This time it is actually on pending litigation.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to add an executive session to Clancy Holmes administrative service time for pending litigation.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. And I'm going to see nobody else had any public comments. So we're going to go ahead and close the public comment section and move on to commission comments. And we'll start off with Commissioner Foki this morning.
Okay, this is a little different
Yeah.
order. Last Thursday evening, I went to Keats, to the sewer district meeting. It was well attended. I'd say there were probably 40 people there, 40 people there. And some people were quite upset. Other people were very cordial. I talked to a couple people, but did not make any public comments. Sam from BG Consultants was there and went through the program again about what they were planning to do on option number 1, which we approved. Keats is eligible for 70% of the cost, and it could go up to 75% based on the income survey. And it's a 40-year term. And these are for notes I took. I'm hoping they're okay. July, they will determine the grant, and they will have it ready to submit by July. And present it to the Board of County Commissioners. One of the main things they were getting information out on the government assistance services that we approved to do income surveys. They made a presentation on the surveys that they were going to be going door to door and introduce themselves, and talked about that they would be starting. I believe they started last over the weekend, I believe. So I had talked to Brett Wagner before that and asked him, kind of got the procedure on how they were going to go door to door and talk to people. And they were asking the people that were there to talk about it to their friends and neighbors, so that people would understand who was coming to the door to ask about their income. So the schedule that was presented for the district, once we know it's going through, that should be, if we know if it's going to go through the grant, January 2022, they would start construction around 2023 and complete it hopefully by 2024. So it was a good meeting. I stayed and talked to a few people, and I think, it was well received. So hopefully the income surveys will come through soon without a lot of problems. So let's see. What else? I didn't write all this down yet. Let's go by notes. Yesterday, well, Tuesday I went to a common table meeting for a common table group. That was a board meeting. We were having a problem with serving meals at the senior center. They apparently don't want the common table people to serve on Monday nights. So that's something we're investigating to see where we can serve that meal on Mondays. So that was, I don't know the exact reasons, but yesterday I went to the Westlake Business Association meeting. That was well attended. There were several people there from the AK Miller Journalism School that were talking about the internship programs that they have coming up. And a lot of students really need to get into internships in the coming year. And some of them are paid, some of them are not. But they need to get experience in the real world as far as social media and communications. So it's something we might kind of take a look at going forward. There are a lot of good students over there, and they have a lot of good support from their mentors. let's say, and then yesterday evening, I also attended the HEA board meeting. There wasn't a quorum present, so we couldn't vote on anything, but we discussed different grants that were being put through. There is a study that's going to be conducted for 5 to 10 year plan on purchasing electric buses and how that might work. So they're going to be, it's a feasibility study, and also they're studying micro transit, which may be something that may come up in the future. They will have some new budget numbers ready by next month. We'll be sending a PowerPoint through, at least to the board members. The other thing was the city routes are going to continue, or going to start as normal, starting August 16th. So they're going to reinstate the regular schedule. And they're also working on this app, which probably won't be ready until like August or September, where people can actually use the app to schedule bus routes and find out where the bus is, whether it's on time or not. The interesting thing on that, I thought, is that app will work all over the world. So if you're in another city, you can find out where the bus is and plug it in and find out when it's going to come. So that's really exciting. Technology has just become really amazing.
Of course, if you're in Europe and you call an on-demand service, I don't expect them to send a bus to you.
No, that's right. It'll work for the regular bus routes. And most places don't have a lot of on-demand bus services. So I thought that was really interesting. And next meeting will be next month, and hopefully we'll have budget all together to take a look at there. So that's all I have. It's been a busy week, and it looks like the next couple of weeks are going to be the same. So
That time of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, for me, first off, I hope everybody had a safe and wonderful Memorial Day holiday weekend. Did something good on the extra day off. May not have felt like the start of summer. They call it the unofficial start to summer, but Mother Nature sometimes does something different. But hope everybody was able to get out and do something good and do something in remembrance of those lost loved ones, family, friends, and of course all those that have served. Thursday afternoon last week, I caught NACO's new analysis of the U.S. Treasury Department's interim final rule for state and local coronavirus fiscal recovery fund. They need to shorten that one too. Aaron Hurley, the Associate Legislative Director of Finance and Pensions and Intergovernmental Affairs, provided a pretty in-depth view of all the key provisions within the rule and put a specific focus on how each of those may impact county governments throughout the country. It covered eligibility criteria, uses of the fund, compliance, financial reporting, key dates that are incorporated in all that. And they also highlighted several key differences between the American Rescue Plan and the federal aid to counties through the CARES Act. So there's kind of a couple of different components. The presentation itself was about 5.5 something minutes long. Everything from Riley County side is already covered, so we're good there. So I believe that's somewhere on their website. So if you want to check it out, anybody wants to check it out, you can. It just kind of lets you know kind of what we're going to have to start working through to build the foundation for what we need to do with that funding moving forward. So Friday afternoon, I did listen in on KAC's webinar on SB 13. Stacy Dermillo. Did I get that name right? Okay. Team lead for municipal services. I know she's sent several different emails out because I know I've received them. She's in the Office of Accounts and Reports, Kansas Department of Administration, discussing the changes, requirements, roles of county commissioners and other county elected officials in fulfilling these new requirements of the law. The bill, as we know, introduces a new term called revenue neutral rate. Get used to it. We're going to be hearing that a lot. We've already heard that a lot. It's obviously defined as the amount of ad valorem tax revenue levied in the prior year over the current assessed evaluation estimates expressed as a mill, which probably here in the next week or so we should be figuring out. So county clerks in the state are responsible for computing this. Rich is shaking his head over there. I was going to say Rich is shaking his head over there. That's with all the other tax and subdivisions, and we're going to have, speaking of tax and subdivisions, we'll be having a conversation about that later on this afternoon with obviously RCPD. So that information should be done by the 15th per that discussion anyway. And link to this webinar should be on KAC's website at some particular point in time too, that fulfill those requirements. And I'm sure that'll be part of our discussion next week at KCCA as well. So last night I attended the Ogden City Council meeting. Director Butler from RCPD gave an update on behalf of law enforcement. I gave an update on behalf of Riley County. Most of our discussion included the development of the new road and bridge sales tax. It's a very important issue for them over there, as well as the other smaller communities. And Russell Shipley from St. Gordon and Associates provided a presentation of their 2020 city audit. And he discussed part of that sales tax and how that will either benefit them or not benefit them, depending on what happens with it in November. And lastly, I'm going to give a shout out this morning to a couple of teams. Rock Creek High School baseball team for winning its first ever state 3A title.
Not first time.
Not for sure.
It's not the first? Okay, I read it wrong because they said first.
They won it 6 years ago.
See, I was thinking that too, and I thought they made the finals and they lost myself. But
Yeah, they lost 2 years ago in the finals.
that must have been what I was thinking. I knew they made it,
2
but
or 3 years ago, they lost the
Okay.
finals, but they won it 6 years ago.
okay. Well, the post that I saw on that indicated that was their first.
It was
So,
Wamego softball's first ever state championship.
and they didn't mention Wamego in that, but congratulations to them as well while we're on the subject. I also wanted to give a shout out to the Manhattan High baseball team for reaching the 6A semifinals. They've really kind of struggled, particularly with pitching this year, and they kind of ran out of gas at the end, but fought valiantly to get to that point. And lastly, K-State baseball team for making the semifinals of the Big 12 tournament last weekend in Oklahoma City. They said that was their first too, and I remember them playing for a championship against Texas a few years ago. So people need to get on the ball and know their facts, apparently. So
They ran out of pitching too.
yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. It's tough to do sometimes when you only have two and you need 3 or 4 for a, when you're playing every day or 2 games sometimes in the same day, especially in double elimination. So, but overall, the future looks bright for all 3 of them. So it'll be fun to watch next year when it comes back around. And other than that, that's really all I've got at this point in time. So we'll go ahead and move on to some business this morning.
First item we have is out-of-state travel request for David Adams to attend annual Station Bill Conference in St. Louis, Missouri.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this is a conference I've been paying attention to the last 3 or 4 years as we've talked about buildings. And when this one came up this year, the timing I thought was just fortuitous. It's what we need for as we move forward and looking at a facility. And so I've talked to John about it and gave him all of the information. And I believe he's going to put in a request as well. But it's really right of what we're trying to do. And as we start going through this process, it's really going to help us, I think, understand what it is to build an emergency services station. There's plenty of vendors, plenty of the architects and builders and things like that we could meet and talk to and learn more about this, because it is a specialized facility. And so this, we think, would give us a good leg up as we start looking at this of what it is to put something like this together.
Kind of coincidental that's in St. Louis, John.
You just wait. Yeah, very, very much coincidence.
Sure. But too much of a coincidence, actually.
I think the last few years has been in Chicago.
Yeah.
So
Right across from Wrigley Field, isn't it?
yeah, that'd be a shame.
You notice how he was smart enough not to wear St. Louis?
Yeah, I noticed.
This conference is like a walk away from the Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's downtown then. Okay.
Right behind that Park Plaza.
Well, at least David will get to go.
Take lots of pictures. Okay.
Need a motion on this, Commissioner.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the out-of-state travel request to attend Station Building Conference in St. Louis.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Sure.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, get to go back to
Yeah,
passing
we can go
stuff
back to
around instead
passing
of
as long
walking.
as everyone's comfortable with it.
No more exercise for Rich.
Next, we have out-of-state travel request for John Ellen to attend 2021 Station Design Conference in St. Louis, Missouri.
So, same reasons. I don't know if I have anything more to add other than, your approval will depend on what my involvement will be in the process, so.
Okay.
Or what you want my involvement to be in that.
Well, it is a county facility, and all county facilities go directly through Public Works as ones that are in charge of the entire process, so it's pretty important.
There was a couple of sessions on writing the RFQs and construction management stuff that might, and what to go into and what to think about as what he wants as a design.
Okay, I would make a motion for John Ellerman to attend the Station Design Conference in St. Louis on August 23rd to the 26th.
Okay, I'll second that motion. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Over.
And you can't take pictures for the record either. That's part of it. Can't.
I'm trying to train you to be blue and white instead of red and white, so it's kind of hard to do, you know?
And next, I have out-of-state travel request for John Ellen to attend the 2021 BWX. Just so happens to be in St. Louis, Missouri.
Starting that Sunday.
We've been in St. Louis for a while. Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve out-of-state travel request for Public Works for the PWX Conference 2021.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Didn't work out this morning. Moving my chair around.
Arms.
Yeah, I did arms at the gym yesterday.
Next, I need a motion to approve the authority to award contract of commitment of county funds to accept the low bid submitted by Ebert Construction for the Rose Hill Road Bridge project.
I think that also explains or shows what our local match will be.
Okay. Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the authority to award a low bid on the Rose Hill Road Bridge project to Ebert Construction.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Both signed, please.
Easier to have a middleman
Yeah,
involved in this
really.
process, isn't it?
We will, we will. Next, I need a motion to approve the portable communication device allowance. Jason Anderson.
Go ahead and make a motion to approve the portable allowance for Jason Anderson.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chairman, please. And next I have two Riley County personnel action forms, Whitney Phoebus, Office Manager, County Attorney's Office, Declaration of Service, Garrett Redden, a new hire, seasonal labor, Public Works. Need a motion to approve accounts payable and payroll.
Would make a motion to approve accounts payable and payroll.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded on accounts payable. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioners, I have a resolution from May 27th that needs re-signed due to a spelling error, and it's a resolution on the Little Valley Addition Unit 3 and accepting the street rights of easements for that public hearing on that. So there was just a spelling error. So no motion, just need you to re-sign. This action has been taken. And also need to know if all of you commissioners would like to attend the leaders retreat that's going to be here in Manhattan Thursday, July 29th and Friday, July 30th.
Yes.
Is that the leaders
Chamber
retreat,
puts
the
that on.
chamber? July what, 21?
Yeah.
29th and 30th.
It's Thursday and Friday.
Nancy, do you want to go?
I'd like to, but I'm going to be in Houston.
Oh, good for you.
Where is that going to be held?
Doesn't say, it says in Manhattan.
I
And what
think-
time of day is it, like,
I have.
It's going to be both days, full day. I
a
think.
full day,
Yeah.
so the 29th is the Thursday, will we not have commission meeting then?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
I believe, if I heard right, it's going to be at the Hilton.
I believe so, but there wasn't an agenda or anything attached to it,
Yeah,
so I don't know. the
Yeah,
details
I
at all.
don't, I think they're still trying to work through that, just make sure everything is kosher.
I don't know, time starts, time ends, nothing.
Okay.
Topics.
And if my guess is they'll probably have a little more detailed outlook on that probably this next chamber meeting. So I'll update everybody if that's the case.
Yeah, put me down for that.
Okay, ready for the minutes on the board is, we got through a lot in a hurry there.
Yeah, we did. Ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, we'll go ahead then and start with page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. And finally, page 9.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve the minutes dated May 27th, 2021 as written.
Okay, I'll second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next commissioner, you have Craig Cox at 9 o'clock. Morning, Craig.
Morning.
Morning, Commissioners.
Hold on
Still
just a
got-
second.
Not quite there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to time.
About 20 seconds. Okay, now you're good.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm back with you this morning concerning an item involving the current tax sale. A few weeks ago, I was in concerning an arrangement we had made with Phil Ingert on his property. Since that time, we received information that Mr. Ingert's property on Skyway, which he has used as a storage location, both in buildings and outside, obviously, was robbed. The buildings were broken into, and he actually had a vehicle stolen off of his property. Apparently, the property's been burglarized any number of times for a period of time. Mr. Ingert is quite shaken by this. I mean, he is an older individual. I will say I've met him twice now. He's an older individual. He seems to have a good mind, but he's frail. He's frail health-wise. So he was visibly shaken by this, and came in and asked if he could have additional time to meet our demands in regards to his property and the tax sale. And staff met with him, and then we thought about it and got back with him, and we're proposing the attached agreement, which amends the previous agreement that we did back in May. The big difference, the two big differences in the agreement before you, well, there's three big differences, is that he agrees to make a $5,600 payment on taxes and also to pay the court costs. In each tax case, we assign a court cost to every parcel. He has three parcels, and so the total amount for those three parcels was $495. He has actually already made that payment to the clerk of the court and to the treasurer's office. I will tell you that the $56,000 pays off one half of the 2015 taxes. That was a calculated amount on my part. So in the previous agreement, there was no prepayment of taxes, so that's something new in this agreement. In the old agreement, he was to have the code violations in Skyway resolved by no later than June 15th. We've extended those dates now. As you can see there in the agreement, he's to have the brush and grass cleared off by July 15th. Remove all inoperable vehicles by September 15th. And there's a semi-trailer on the property which he's using as a storage unit, which he says will take a little bit longer to clear off and move. And so we gave him until December 30th for that item. The agreement states that if he does not meet any one of those deadlines, we can immediately file a code enforcement case in Raleigh County District Court. And then an item that was similar to the last agreement was that he used to list the Skyway property with the realtor by October 1st. Because we do want that property sold, because that's how he's gonna pay the taxes. Either he's gonna sell it and pay the taxes, or we're gonna sell it. And with this agreement, he came in and signed it. We agreed to pull the property at this point in time from this year's tax sale. But we can't do that unless the commission approves the agreement. Any questions?
I guess my only concern here is we've been kind of working on this particular property for quite some time. So I just want to make sure that he understands that we'll make an exception here, but I'm not going to be willing to continue to make exceptions. We've got to see some progress.
Well, the agreement he signed in May was last chance. Right. This kind of amends that agreement, but he understands this is his last chance. Okay. We pulled him out of last year's sale with the agreement that he'd sell the property. He got a realtor, but The realtor can never make any contact with him. He can be rather reclusive. And I've told him that it's not, being reclusive isn't gonna work to meet these deadlines and get done what he needs to get done. So he understands this is his last chance, that if he doesn't get those deadlines meet on the code issues, we'll have a case in court, prior to the next tax sale. But he understands that if the taxes aren't paid by next June, we're gonna sell the property at auction.
Right.
Yeah, and I will, from May till now, I've made contact with him and reiterated that concept. And so we'll make repeated contact with him so he understands, so he doesn't forget the importance.
I think we've been more than patient, and we've explained more perseverance than we would on most properties here. So I understand this is a unique scenario that popped up along the way, and that's not his fault. I got that, but I do want to make sure we make it clear that these type of delays aren't going to be continual. Right. We need to see some.
And I only condone taking a property out 1 or 2 times with the concept that if we can get the taxes paid, that's a good thing for the county.
Right.
Because in this regard, the total taxes for all 3 properties, he has a house and a vacant lot. The vacant lot, it really isn't necessary for his house. It's just a lot he bought next to his house. And then the Skyway property, which is a commercial property, the total amount of taxes is only about $35,000.
Yeah.
And so we might get that just off of the Skyway. Well, if we sell the Skyway property at tax sale, we can only apply, those funds to the Skyway property. We can't use that money to pay off the other 2 taxes. And so I only do this with a couple times on the hope that we'll get all our taxes collected. But we have to at some point in time just say that's it, and we're going to sell the property, which is what we'll do next year if there's no change.
Okay. Well, that pretty much explains it. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. No, the total due from him then is $57,312.45. And that's with 11% interest accruing.
Correct. And I've explained to him that, and we explained to all our taxpayers this point in time, this is 2021. It might have been back in 2016 or 2017, delinquent taxes prior to that time were only generating interest like 3 or 4%. And then the state changed it to, at that time, it was 10% interest. And I always joked that they were trying to balance their budget on delinquent tax interest. But we tell delinquent taxpayers these days that, it's not a good deal to borrow money at this rate, which is what they're doing by not paying taxes. They're just borrowing the money. And so we do advise him of that. He's aware of that interest rate.
Okay, good. And will you advise us when A, B, and C are completed so that we have an update,
You bet.
when those dates are?
You bet. Because and that's automatic, Commissioner, because if he misses a date, I'll come in here to get permission to take him to court on a code violation. So yeah, you'll be kept advised as to those deadlines.
This has been another one of those tricky type of properties that we've been trying to work through for longer than I've been here. So,
well, as Paul Harvey says, the rest of the story is that we actually attempted, and I stress the word attempted, to file a code violation case against him last year in 2020. And we could, to sue somebody, but that's what a code case is, you got to get them served with the papers. We could never get him served. I mean, RCPD could never find him to personally serve the papers. You can get service by restricted certified mail, and he would never pick up his mail. So we eventually had to dismiss that case after working service for like 6 months because he was so reclusive we could never get him served.
Does he have any family in the county that we could talk to and make sure that he's aware?
Jana has researched that. She's probably a better one to answer that. But if my recollection is correct, is that he has a daughter in Dickinson County. He also owns rental property in Dickinson County too, but I think the information is we've located a daughter in Dickinson County.
Okay, and then, have you made her aware, or can you make her aware of what's going on?
You know, we, at this point, we have not done that. At times, we do contact family. Since our attempt to file a case last year, he's had more contact with us, obviously, because we're threatening to sell his property at tax sale. But so as long as he's communicating with us, we don't feel the need to contact the daughter. But if he falls off the face of the earth again, we'll reach out to him.
Okay. Yeah, I would think that if he fails to meet even the first date, that you should consider, and you can't talk to him or whatever, you should consider contacting his area.
Yeah, we have done that in the past with other taxpayers. Lots of times it's the family who makes the initial contact, worried about dad or mom with the taxes not being paid. We've had no contact from the daughter, but at a certain point in time, we would reach out to her.
I would assume that she's probably not a power of attorney or.
And we don't know that.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know that.
Okay, well, outside of that, that's fine for the moment, but I tend to agree. We do want to keep updated on A, B,
You bet.
and B, C.
You bet.
So, okay.
Because with this agreement, we're actually working two different issues. We're working the code enforcement matter and also the tax collection.
Correct.
So yeah, so I'll keep the commission updated on both accounts.
I know I've had several people ask me about this particular property too, so there's other people paying attention to it.
Do they want to buy it?
No, well, not in its current shape. Now maybe if it gets cleaned up or something, I don't know.
Well,
But
see, and that's why we.
But there's always a visual with those things. When you see a property and you see basically remnants of a junkyard and everything else, it doesn't look so attractive visually to want to purchase for any particular reason.
And I might be a little greedy here, but that's why we combine these two issues, because one, we told Mr. Anger, if you clean the property up, you know, in your attempts to sell it privately, that's only going to just improve the value of the property.
Right.
You know, so.
Okay. You have any other?
No, I just would like to, when we make a motion to include that discussion, that we would get a report
You bet.
when those items from that.
Do you want to go and make that motion?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. I would move the board sign the agreement that will include our discussion about having reports on the zoning violations and the dates that are included in that on a timely basis. And so that's the motion.
Okay. I'll go ahead and second that motion. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And what I'll do is I'll also keep you updated in the progress on the tax issue too.
Okay.
Because we have deadlines there, obviously.
Sure.
So I'll come in and keep you updated on that too.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Next, here in a couple of minutes, we've got Michael. Morning, sir. Good. You guys open on the weekends at all?
We do Howie's clean out every second Saturday.
Okay.
But we do have our carts out there underneath the awning 24/7 now. It's been a carryover from COVID. So if you ever have anything you need dropped off.
No, I was going to come out there and check out your selection.
People dropped off anyway before, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Commissioners, are the tentative agendas okay?
Yes.
Do you have any items for next week's press conference?
I do not. You did it. Okay.
Robin and Mike, huh? Just always leave.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah, now we get to notice that a little bit more, don't we? Back
Yeah,
there,
we do.
he
He's a
just
sneak
come in.
off the floor.
Now we know. Now we know if he's here or not.
Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, Mike.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Fuller with the Noxious Weed staff update for the month of June. I'd like to start out with saying our spring spraying has started in mid-April. However, we are a little behind on that. As I mentioned several times, Mother Nature dictates when we get stuff done. Our groundwork, our bare work requires, as a general rule, no rain 24 hours prior or 24 hours after. And then the day that we spray, the wind conditions have to be ideal. So those days, the prior month have been far and in between, so we're a little bit behind. I have been in contact with RCPD as they're anxious to get their range sprayed out there. They're going to have retiree firing range on Friday morning, so we should have that done this afternoon or tomorrow. And I think they'll be very grateful for that. Spot spraying for musk thistle and field bindweed has begun and will continue out through the month of June, as well as our townships and our KDOT contract. We've gotten most of our townships done. We haven't done a spray yet for KDOT. KDOT's budget ends in July, so we've kind of got to get in there and do some spraying for them prior to July 1 and then figure out what the budget's going to be. But that'll begin this month as well. Spring seeding projects on county right-of-ways began in late March, and they're all completed. And the conditions have been absolutely ideal. We're getting a lot of good new grass on the areas that Public Works had done a lot of work last year on cleaning out ditches, that sort of thing. So we have a lot of seeding projects, and that's really taken off. So it's been ideal. Speaking of ideal conditions, our roadside mowing, we're actually ahead of the game this year. We're almost 60% complete with our first cycle of mowing. We do 3 complete mowings of county roads throughout the year. Having said that, vegetation growth rate is extreme this year. So don't be surprised if you're going down a county road and think, geez, have they mowed this yet? As an example, Sweet Creek's been mowed, that entire area 2 weeks ago, and you can barely tell. So that's something we're aware of. We'll probably have to look at some areas, maybe 4 or even 5 areas of mowing as manpower is available. I can tell you our new operator has been fantastic. He's doing an excellent job, and he's getting a lot more mowing done in a day than I've seen in a while. So it couldn't be better for that we have somebody that's going to be able to keep up. And when we're not doing spraying, as I mentioned earlier, we haven't had a chance. So our other 2 applicators have been out mowing our first round. So we're ahead of schedule in the first round, but in some areas, it's just going to be that way. I know KDOT is going to be suffering the same thing. So just keep that in mind. Musk thistle and noxious weed in Kansas is at a stage of growth where it needs to be sprayed in order to get optimal control. We want to keep that particular weed from going to seed and spraying and going over to your neighbor's property. And so just want to mention that we do have a cost share chemical to purchase if you happen to have that weed on your property. We are having our clean out Saturday, June 12th down at Howie's, as we always do, the second Saturday of the month from 8 to noon. I want to let the commissioners know that that has been wildly popular. We get compliments all the time, and I wanted to pass the compliments on to you that citizens of the community are very grateful that we provide that service on the weekend. And so it's just refreshing to get complimented like that all throughout the day and the morning. So I wanted to pass that along. And we do have recycled products that are free to the public out there. And our hours are Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 4. I can tell you, we are very, very short on latex paint right now. I'd say we've probably done 600 to 800 gallons of recycled latex paint in the last probably month. Wildly popular this year, people doing a lot of updating. They love the free paint. We got a lot of compliments on it, but we are very low right now on that. So
Stain and varnish.
we've got stain and varnish. We do still have stain and varnish,
I'm gonna come out.
all different shades.
I'm gonna come out there at some point in time and see you guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's something we do have pretty frequently, and we can even combine different shades and make a bigger, gallon of it for somebody. We do that for people all the time. And then just in the other category, we are having our CWDAK Summer Conference in Manhattan this year. That will be an in-person conference. It'll be July 20th through the 22nd. And so we expect probably, in the area of probably 100 attendees for that.
Good.
Coming into the Manhattan community. So I'm on that program and part of the preparation team for that, and will be an MC for that. So I'm excited to have everybody in town for that particular event. And that, commissioners, is your update.
All right.
Questions?
No, it's a pretty busy time of the year for you. So
Yes, sir, it is. And like I said, the conditions are just ideal. Now, crops in the field are already but it's muddy. I seen a KDOT tractor got stuck out here at Set Jobs the other day, and there's all kinds of mud, and that was on a sloped area that had heavy vegetation, and that gives you an idea how moist the ground conditions are. And knock on wood, I'm very grateful we haven't had one get stuck, but it's probably a matter of time as we're out, a day after it rains. We usually get 1 or 2 stuck a year. We just have to team up and get another tractor up there and help out. So that's what they did yesterday too.
that's better than having tire blowouts and
It is.
several of those other scenarios that happen every now and again
Yeah,
too.
deer sheds are pretty popular for doing that. And then we usually get a lot of the flat tires on our 3rd round of mowing, and that's where we go clear out to the fence line. And that is where, the bucks will jump over the fence and rub, and they'll drop an antler right there. And we usually once a year have and tractor tire flats are not cheap.
Nope.
They're not cheap. So I like to try to avoid that. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner, have Greg McHenry at 9:30.
All right, a bit of a break here for a minute. Hey, Alice, I was curious.
Yeah.
I'm thinking ahead here, but I've got to do In Focus in July. You might want to come on and give an update on county rebranding.
Love to.
Okay.
What day is it?
Whatever that first
Tuesday.
Tuesday in July is.
Okay,
I kind of coincide with 4th of
the
July.
first
there.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
6th.
Let's see, July, let me find July here. July is the second, it'd be the second Tuesday, that would be
Maybe one segment or something, that first segment.
Yeah.
Okay.
that'd be cool, that'd be fun.
that's what the 13th, I think,
Second Tuesday is the 13th.
yeah.
But In Focus is the first Tuesday, right?
It's
First Tuesday,
First
which is
Tuesday.
July 6th.
That's true, yeah, because I'm doing July
And
8th.
remember, we'll have July 5th.
No, that's the second, it's the
I
second
think you're
Tuesday.
I think you're this upcoming Tuesday, aren't you?
Yeah, that's the second,
Yeah.
second Tuesday,
Oh, that might.
because the first Tuesday was, no, it was June, I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong month.
I'm doing the same thing.
No, I'm right, June
Okay.
8th is the second
Yeah.
Tuesday, so that's probably what it is.
Okay. Well, whatever the date is, we got plenty of time.
Just let
It's
me know,
okay.
yeah, I'm around.
Brandon will get with me at some point, then we'll figure it out.
July 13th, it is, for sure, Alice.
It's July 13th, okay.
It is
Oh,
July.
I was looking at June being the
My
first.
sister's
yeah.
birth,
It's- That is the 13th. Ah. Good heavens.
What was going on over there? Oh, gotcha. Yeah, they usually. Yeah, they usually serve those to me in our office over there. Yeah. Right. Yeah, no problem. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, ma'am. Bye. Morning, Greg.
Good morning. Got lots coming over here.
Yeah, it's.
So many of our doors are shut because of.
I know, they are. They got this blocked off, and they're working on one of the doors on the front over there.
Yeah. After they got going there, they started going to town on it.
Well, they've got two guys on it. They started out with one, and it takes one guy a long time. Yeah, they got two units going now, and it's going a little better for them.
Are they gonna repaint the back of the building or no?
I'm not sure what the finish is, but I've had so many employees say, I like the brick.
I kind of have to, without all the, obvious, changes in windows and structures there, it actually looks pretty cool.
I've had more comments from people saying, I kind of hope they leave it. I like how it looks. So I don't know. That'd be a good question for John. We should ask John, what their intent is.
I would imagine they would have to, maybe reseal the grout and do some things on the brick. And maybe
Yeah, it looks like there's some voids for sure.
yeah. So, yes, and maybe painting this in the future.
I would say that's probably logistical and economically the best, the best approach at this point in time. Which I think is what we agreed upon. It's like that was at the end of 2019 when we
Agreed upon.
the maintenance for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely needed it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree.
It looked horrible.
It's amazing what difference there is just in cleaning the stone.
Mhm.
Oh, man, yeah, some of that stone, that north side looks like brand new over there on that
Dramatic
building
change.
of ours.
Well, on that note, it is 9:30, Greg. So I'll let you enlighten us this morning.
I don't know if I can enlighten you. You're a pretty smart group. But I'm happy to report what's been going on.
Okay.
And I'll start off with some little bit surprising news probably for you, and that is our personal property valuation for 2021 was up about 11% this year. And before you ask, I'll try to answer the question, why? Not just here, but kind of on a national basis, outdoor recreation has been in 2020, became very, very popular due to the pandemic. So our watercraft totals are up a lot, about 21% from a year ago. So that's a part of it, but also heavy trucks and our mobile homes. And our mobile home values are based on sales, like our homes are. And so we had a few more mobile homes. We also had some increases in values based on those sales of the mobile homes we did have. But watercraft and the heavy truck side of things really kind of carried the day for us. And that's good, because that, in both cases, that's new value. That's not just appreciation of existing personal property. And of course, that total countywide, this is appraised value, not assessed, was about $42,965,021. Not to be exact, but that's very good.
You could have put the cents on there, and then it would be exact.
That's true. Yeah, we'll let Rich and staff do that part, and then Shiloh's later on when they send the tax bills. And of course, just like real estate, we certify with the clerk's office, and these values are used for purposes of the budgets and the mill levy setting, and the tax bills that are actually created for those values go out in November. And so we're always in arrears. I always like to remind people of that. Sometimes there's some confusion about which year they're paying for and those kinds of things. And even sometimes I think it contributes towards somebody missing a payment, based on a deadline. But the bills for the values that we sent out here this spring, real estate and personal property both, don't actually come out until November of this year. So, but we appreciate everyone's help in us getting those personal property forms worked while our office carries the load. There are a lot of other offices that get some of the calls and get some of the walk-ins, and we appreciate their help in getting our appraisal season completed, basically. So we are diving in very quickly into 2022, already starting some of our studies. Alan in our office is working with Vaughn to start doing our land studies, and that'll take a month and a half or so, and then we'll dive right into all of our other studies here about the 1st of August, including mailing of our income expense forms that we like to send out to commercial property owners every year. So that's kind of the time frame for us for the next few months. And while it seems like it's a long time away, there's a lot of work to do in that time frame. So we're always glad that we can certify our real estate values early and get the personal property done as quickly as we can. And kind of want to thank you guys as commissioners for your support. I know you get some of those phone calls about values and property taxes, and just like to remind people, we're not setting the taxes, but we sure want to make sure our values are accurate, because that provides fairness and equity. And that's really the only function that our office should be all about. Speaking of surveys, we send out an annual agricultural use survey each year. And that is the reason for that is we're mandated, every county is mandated to do a review of all ag use in their county every year. Back in the day, when we first had reappraisal, for a lot of counties, including us, we could spend 2 to 4 weeks driving the entire county and mapping out ag use. And fortunately, we don't have to do that anymore. And the big reason for that, there are 2 reasons for it really. The digital photography that we get, since we're on an every other year basis, that really helps us because the photography is more current. And we can use that in combination with our surveys that are mailed to property owners to determine whether a property is ag use or not. If we have questions, then we can go to that property and do an on-site review that really cuts down on how many of those we have to do every year. And folks have gotten used to it, so we feel like we have a good response rate. We typically get 70% or so response rate on the surveys, and that's very, very good for any survey. But there's a reason for it. There's a big difference between ag use and market value. And for those folks who have ag use, I think they mostly understand now that it's in their best interest to return that survey, so that as long as they've met the ag use criteria, they can continue to get it and not suffer the consequences of being valued at market value and the higher taxes that go along with that. So we mailed those out about 2.5 weeks ago, and Julianne's already working those as they come in. And so we encourage people, if they haven't sent them in or they're not sure what they are, to please do that. It really is in their best interest, and it really helps save county taxpayers money. Excuse me. We've already been doing property reviews now for over a month. As soon as our informal appeals are over, and it's another advantage to certifying early, our people get into the field to get a head start on it. But this month, we're not just doing catch-up work. We're not working sales that occurred earlier in the year. We're able to do them as they come in, and so they're very busy doing that. Each residential appraiser, and I have 5, does about 820 properties a year, and that's a lot. When you think about it. We're on a 6-year mandated cycle, so that means at least once in that 6-year period, we're required to do an on-site review. In addition to that, every time a property changes hands, we need to do an on-site review. And anytime there's a building permit, demo permit, or just a change in property that somebody's notified us about. Somebody will say, hey, my garage burned last week. Do you guys want to come out and make sure that gets taken off the tax roll for next year? We get a lot of, interesting calls and things like that. So that's what we're doing now. And, while we get an early start on it, that'll take most of our residential folks into October to complete. And then they begin doing end of the year reviews. If we get a building permit in April and one of our appraisers goes there and the contractor or property owner tells us what their schedule is, we'll come back in November or early December and determine what the status is going to be for the rest of the year, whether it's going to be complete or partial construction. Keeping in mind that we only value as the status is January 1st. So if it looks like something won't be done by the end of the year, maybe it's only going to be 75% complete, that's when we determine that. And then their property taxes for the next year are based on that and not something that was complete when it really wasn't. So we'll keep very busy doing that. As you might remember, we are training a new commercial property appraiser, Sydney, and she's doing a great job so far. We're trying to provide a healthy balance of training for her and also in the field, and then also the classwork that she will need in the next 18 months or so. So, she'll be busier than most. We also have a new personal property appraiser, Haley, on staff. She actually started this week, and Joanne's doing a great job at training her. Keep in mind, Kathy Willard will be retiring from our office after over 30 years of service to the county. She's done a great job in our office for many, many years, most of that time, and also worked in the treasurer's office prior to that. But we'll have another opening, in October. I think her retirement date is October 22nd. And so you'll all get an invitation to the reception for her as we were able to honor her for all of her years of service here. We are hosting tomorrow the Northeast Kansas County Appraisers Association group. And we'll have, I think, 22 or 23 appraisers and a few staff and some PBD staff as well here to meet with. And we have an agenda for a meeting, and then we'll, AJ's Pizza is going to bring some lunch over to us. We enjoy hosting. We also are the county that everyone wants to come to. Good. So it's kind of a win-win for us. We don't have to travel and spend costs for things like that. But folks like to come to Manhattan, and we'll actually be meeting in this room. Excuse me. There'll be several kind of important things that we'll be talking about. One will be kind of at the top of the list will be the legislative changes that happened this year, how that affects us now and maybe going down the road a little bit. We'll also be talking with David Harper, PBD director, about what he and his staff see as potential legislation for next spring even, and what we might need to do or want to do to try to ensure better outcomes next spring.
Do you want to think about that?
Yeah,
Do you want to think about that?
Let me know. I believe 22 is an election year for the House side, and I'm sure that usually puts a little different flavor on the bills that come up. But we'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about Board of Tax Appeals a lot. We were thinking our Home Depot case might be the first one with the new board, and I think it probably still will be that in the sense that we asked for reconsideration. So the new board will be the ones tasked with the reconsideration. Excuse me. I have a cold, nothing more. That'll be probably the first kind of test, I guess, if you want to call it, of dark store theory with the new board.
Full board.
New and full board.
Okay.
Actually, it won't be full board.
Because the first Home Depot case was with the new executive director, correct?
Yeah, he was.
So this would be with right. This
That's right. That's a good point. Yeah. The new board has 2 full-time members. He does not participate. Right. They don't have a general certified appraiser yet for both. That would be the 3rd position. That's going to be a really difficult job to fill. I have a young son who's working in that industry in Kansas City, and if he had 80 hours in the week, that wouldn't be enough. They are very, very busy, and it's very profitable for those partners and experienced commercial real estate appraisers. And I can't imagine why they would be interested in taking on the politics and a big cut in pay, to serve as a board member. So they're kind of reduced to looking at people who are retired or soon to be retiring, or maybe want to do some private appraising on a part-time basis. And there just aren't a lot of candidates. They've had a couple of good ones, in my humble opinion, that I thought maybe would be bipartisan, and they were not able to make it through the Senate side. So I wish I had some better answers for when that's going to be filled. I'll be surprised if it's filled this year.
No, I don't think I wouldn't expect that till session again next year.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the session next year, we may be in the same boat we're in this year, to be real honest.
And the interesting thing there too is there's several members of that Senate Judiciary Committee that are running for executive positions at the state level, because those
That's
are due. So
Yeah, big change in leadership.
that'll be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We don't, chime in on those at all, but it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out in the next 9 to 12 months or so. That'll be a big topic of discussion. There also has been some discussion of dark store cases again. And, the majority of the dark store cases that are listed on BOCC's docket right now are in Northeast Kansas. So our group, and Sedgwick County has a few, but the huge majority of them are Douglas County, Riley County, Johnson County, Wyandotte County, and a few in Shawnee. So we'll be talking about that quite a bit. The main goal there is not to just have a complaint session, but really to talk about our strategies, what we're doing, make sure we're kind of all doing things the same way when we take these to trial, and share our information, property information, sales information, all that kind of stuff as much as we possibly can. So it'll be a long discussion. We'll also have some discussion about ag use. There is kind of another movement in Johnson County in some circles about doing away with ag use. I grew up on a farm and ranch in north central Kansas and voted in the election that determined reappraisal. And of course, we were very much in favor of it at the time because we were going through a really bad economic cycle in agriculture, and family farms were dropping by the wayside. And ag use was really intended to try to help sustain the ag economy in Kansas. And it's probably helped much, much more in that regard than people realize. We're kind of a state that others look at. Indiana, Nebraska has kind of started going that direction. A lot of states in the Midwest are just now kind of going through that same process or something similar. And again, it's an attempt to provide a tax benefit to producers that are in agriculture and help, excuse me, help kind of sustain the agriculture economy. I don't know where that's all headed. I would guess that, I'm so sorry. I would guess that sometime early in the session, you'll have 2 or 3 Johnson County probably representatives or senators bring it up because they don't see that it's fair. They would rather that everybody is valued at market value, including folks in agriculture. And they probably don't have the background or the history that some of us do about agriculture and its importance in Kansas. We have kept very busy hosting classes to some degree. We'll be hosting, we just hosted one in late May and had a couple of participants from our office benefit from the lower cost of being able to take it here and not have to have lodging and travel, et cetera. We'll also have one in August, and we'll have a couple more people in that class. We've also had 549 real estate sales in 21 so far. 472 of those have been home sales. The median price went up a little bit, if you remember from last month. Sorry, I have a tickle that will not go away.
Do you need to get some water?
Yeah,
I'm gonna grab a cup of water.
yeah, do that.
There's cups over there on that credenza there, Greg.
On top of the credenza are the cups.
Behind the coffee pot there, yeah.
Oh, those tickles are those.
And when you got a cold, it's kind of with allergies too. Sometimes you get that
Yeah.
drainage.
I think that's it.
Yeah, when the clouds left, the humidity went with it, so it went back to dry air again. I think.
I don't know, it's
Saying
pretty humid
humidity's-
last night.
Humidity's supposed to come back Saturday,
Yeah.
especially they're
Yeah.
saying.
I finally turned down the
Increase the
AC
heat
and
index
down.
It was actually perfect for me, the cooler weather, because my AC went kaput last week.
Oh, wow.
And it's supposed to get replaced today, so the cooler weather has been.
That's good.
Okay, sorry about that.
Better?
You need to just summarize. We've got all the rest of the information there, Greg.
Yeah.
So it's good.
What I really wanted to let you know, and kind of reiterate to you, is we're in a very hot market in terms of residential property sales. You know, median sale price is up, average sale price is up, and the number of pendings is continues every month to be
Okay.
kind of a record.
I've been noticing a lot more for sale signs,
Yep.
not just in certain areas, but just in general, along the general perspective. So it's not just even as I guess you call them, the Honda Accords or the Camrys, but so, yeah.
We're everything from the Camry to the Lexus right now.
Yeah.
You know, it is a very.
I haven't driven over in the Mercedes neighborhood yet. Maybe I need to do that too, but.
Yeah.
They aren't moving quite as fast.
No? Okay.
I'd be surprised if you see a lot of county people in the Mercedes area.
Well, no, I just wanted to drive and see if I'm seeing for sale signs and if I'm seeing, it seems like that's the area that's been kind of building over the last 5-8 years or so.
Yeah.
But I'm also seeing one of the other things I've kind of noticed is I'm seeing a lot of people, I don't know if they're getting ready to sell or just staying put, but there's a lot of people that are doing remodeling.
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of that. And with the price of materials and stuff, I'm kind of surprised by it, but I would naturally assume that there's some reason or rationale behind that. But
I think there are a couple, people much more so than myself and maybe some others, people make emotional decisions about their homes.
Yeah.
They're emotionally attached to it. It may not make the most financial sense to do what they're going to do, but if they like it and they're emotionally attached, they'll do it. So there's some of that. People are also much, much more aware, more so than any other time in my career, of the impact of specials.
Mm-hmm.
So if they live in an area, I live in the state streets.
Mm-hmm.
If they live in an area like mine and can have the same function, 3 or 4 bedrooms, 2 to 3 baths, and not have specials, be walking distance to 2 schools, they would rather put money into that property than buy one in Lee Mill Heights or Colbert Hills area, or newer area that has specials. So those 2 things I think have been big impact drivers here, in terms of what you're talking about.
I thought maybe too that there's a lot of people that haven't done all that over the last few years due to economics and now have built up enough. And they built enough equity in there that they can pull that one out and balance it back out.
Well, appraisals are going to work for them.
But I didn't think about the specials, and I would say that's huge. Yeah,
I think a really big impact is more people stayed at home much more significant amount of time and decided I'm at home, man. We really need this, because everyone stayed at home so much more. They said, boy, it'd be nice to have this,
Or extra space to get to move around against family.
I think COVID had a big impact.
I'm sure
people
that's
stayed
true.
at home so much more.
Yeah, people working from home more on a permanent basis too.
Yeah.
A lot of employers are talking about having people work in the office maybe 3 days a week and from home 2 days a week. And you don't want to be on top of each other in your home if you've got kids and pets and all the other things.
And I think that's the big key as far as working from home is going to be for a lot of people, particularly younger couples right now, because kids, if both of them can work out their schedules over their home during the week, they can take care of kids and not have to make another mortgage payment in some instance for child
care.
Right. So, and still be able to do that. So it's not even going to be a want necessarily. I think it's going to be a necessity. And I think that's going to be one of the things looking forward that we've got to figure out community-wide, because in order to keep young professionals here, it's going to be a big part of it. Whether we like that or agree with it or not, it's going to be
Well,
a
I
big
think that's
part
part of what they've said too, is a lot of people have maybe decided to start going back toward the old model of one person works, because, some people lost their jobs and they figured out how to financially make it work and said, this is really better for our family and are staying in that model now.
Yeah, I agree with all those points. The other impact that we have noticed when we verify sales is it's amazing how many out-of-state people are moving into the community again.
Mhm.
You know, they're leaving California and Detroit and Philadelphia, you know, some of those places we hear about on cable TV day after day. They're
Washington,
tired of it, and
Oregon.
they're coming here because they can work from home.
Mhm.
Or they can get a job, you know, in Bath or K-State or something like that. A lot of them have a job already, and they're just trying to have a different quality of life. And, you know, what they're used to paying in their areas, coming here is not a big deal, you know? So it impacts our market and kind of drives the prices up, but that's good. You know, my home is my best investment at this point,
Mhm.
but, you know, the consequences, you all are gonna be scrambling to meet all their wants and their needs and the services and keeping taxes, you know, reasonable at the same time. So that's another reason why I'm glad I'm doing what I'm doing and leaving this.
I was just gonna say, I'm actually glad you're doing what you're doing because there's still bits and pieces of your job that I don't know that I'll ever truly understand, but I'm trying. I'm certainly trying, so.
You do a great job of just supporting us in general. Unless you have questions, you know, you've seen a list of BOTA hearings and there's been no movement there at all. We do have two Monday, actually, next week, that are kind of lesser on the list, but otherwise.
Oh, you mean as far as going through both? I'm looking at that list and every time I see it, it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. it's
And
gonna be
there's a
bigger
couple of them
because-
on there that, for instance, the Hilton Garden on there that's kind of concerning.
Yeah, we're starting to see the 21 filings.
Uh-huh.
And of course, the game that the tax reps play or their attorneys play is they try to get more than 1 year on the docket so that it puts more pressure on us. And also becomes a way for them to have more than 1 year at stake when they go to trial. Even though BOTA is supposed to look at each year separately, and we usually ask them to do each year on a different day, they tend to combine them into one. And, you know, the years aren't the same, the market isn't the same. So that presents some problems for our defense. But we'll do whatever drill they post through, we're gonna do our best. But I did want to let you know that you're right, the list is growing, it'll grow a little bit more.
Greg, I was looking at this one on Genesis of 2020. Now, we
Yeah.
did give them a reduction on their taxes for 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
What is this one? Are they saying they wanted more tax reduction or what is going on there?
Yeah, sure. I've never, in 33 years with the county this coming July, I've never had a BOTA case for a property that's been under construction. This one is. We haven't valued it as complete yet. They're filing a BOTA, it'll be 2 years now, for disagreements in value as under construction. The numbers we get come from them. You know, when a property is under construction, we ask them, what do you have in it so far? You know, what are your costs so far? We want to value it as a partially constructed building. And so they tell us that information. I can imagine what BOTA will do or can do really in that case, but they're filing and of course the folks that are in ownership have filed cases in several other places across the state.
So
Keep in mind too, they've hired a lobbyist to basically, say that
Exempt
to exempt them completely because they're
exactly.
considered
So they don't like what we gave them already.
No, they just don't want to pay it
They
at
don't
all.
wanna
They want to be totally exempt. from
Totally
taxes
exempt from taxes.
because they're competing against cities and counties that provide parks and rec services and
Public health services, fitness services,
Well-
physical training, so on and
Yep.
so forth.
Free market, I don't understand that,
Yeah.
but I was just curious about that, because that popped up on my radar.
It's a very good question. And the gentleman the owner is involved in that case. And I would guess that they will push to move that up on the docket if they can. And that's kind of what the practice has been in the other cases.
Did they ever finish the property over there with the swimming pool and everything? Are they totally?
It's still not complete. Yeah. There's still contractors working over that. It's been an interesting project.
Yeah, see, the issue with that is if you want construction done in a quick and timely fashion, you pay the people that are doing the work. And when you don't pay the people that are doing the work, guess what doesn't happen?
Very true.
And that's been up and down with this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Sorry, I'm just not.
Okay.
Don't disagree at all.
Okay.
That's why you'll never see me step foot in that facility.
be interesting to see, with the city facilities opening now at Anthony and soon to be Eisenhower. I haven't been inside either one.
I've seen pictures. I haven't had really time to do so.
A lot of folks kind of offering
Yeah.
sort of the same or similar services.
It's the pool, and they haven't completed the pool, so that's.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because they're kind of selling it based off that pool
Yeah.
too. And I found that to be kind of odd, but is what it is, I guess. So,
Well,
okay.
thank you again. I know I'm taking Amanda's time here and spilling water all over.
Oh, we have a break.
No, we don't.
We have a couple of minutes. I have a question I need to ask her.
Yeah.
Right,
Sure. I looked and asked and asked.
you're gonna look at the speakers.
I did, and they are too busy to do it. Actually, there are a couple of firms there that could do it, but they're at least 2.5 months out. So nothing that would, address the appeals that we have, that Chris has with us at the time. We'll have a small claims hearing with him, and I believe it's 11 today.
Today, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, he called me yesterday.
Oh,
It was
okay.
in my car, and it was a lot, so I haven't followed it.
Yeah, and I will reiterate to him, then it's, I think it's a good format, both sides get 15 minutes. And they let us answer questions and ask them. So, I'm ready to remind him that we need to look, I like to look, them kind of done our due diligence and beyond. People either don't want to be involved or they're months out. So, if he's happy with months out,
Exactly.
you're totally right.
But just, I know that you were looking for someone.
Yeah,
to be there, yes, so I thought I'd check.
Yeah, and this isn't the first year that we've been in that position. This is at least the third, maybe the fourth. Anyway, that's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Been getting a couple calls. Check out.
We're a few minutes off, Amanda. Sorry.
Oh, that's no problem.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
It's 10:01, so
Okay.
1 minute.
we've done worse. It's
Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
Amanda Smeller, Planning Director, just here with my monthly update for you all. Again, have my staff report and our staff project list in your packet. I always like to hit a few highlights, and as always, happy to answer any questions you might have or collect any information you're looking for. Again, as I always like to start with our land development regulations, we've had a few meetings with our consultant to do the InDesign work to actually get the document into electronic formatting. So we are excited that we are moving through that process and kind of getting things done. So we're a little bit later than we wanted to be, getting things done, but we're getting there. So making progress with that. The NG 911 committee, as you folks know, we created the informational letter to the residents on Johnson, the unnamed private road off of Johnson Road.
Right.
And that was sent to them a couple of weeks ago at the end of May. And then we will follow up with our standard letter with the new proposed road name as well as our new proposed addresses at the end of June. And then that will start the whole 30-day process for them to be able to, make their comments, submit any petitions for a different proposed road name, et cetera, and then of course the public hearing process. So I'll definitely keep you all updated about that as we move through that
I
process.
haven't heard any. Normally, I would expect to start seeing emails myself about that. Not this one, maybe.
Yeah, it was my understanding that the folks on Johnson Road were a little bit more excited, a little bit more interested in it. So hopefully this one, there's definitely been some documented issues with emergency services on this one. And so hopefully people are going to be a little bit more amenable to such a change.
Okay.
So, but I'm sure we'll still hear from folks as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Keep Sewer District meeting, I know Commissioner Floki gave an update this morning as to how that went, and I appreciate that. So I don't have a ton to add to that, but again, it was well attended. I think we were all very pleased with how many folks did come out. Because again, that's another thing you never quite know how many folks are actually going to come out.
Yeah.
And I didn't know ahead of time that we would have refreshments. I would put that in the letter.
Oh, yeah, there was.
Yeah, okay.
So, it'll always come out for me too. So, but no, we did have a lot of folks there again, which was great. We were really, really happy for. We provided a really good update. Sam Johnson, our consultant, did a really good job, fielding questions from the group and, doling out that information. The important things that we were really trying to get folks to understand, because it's been a few years since we've been out there, before then in the community. So it was nice to be able to, provide that update, let them know what we've been up to in these last few years, what the option, you folks have selected, so what we're looking to go forward with, the different funding sources. And the big kicker, of course, with those funding sources was talking about the income survey that we're going to be doing, both again for the USDA and the CDBG grants that we need to do there. We definitely wanted to get folks aware and updated again that the income survey was happening. I know several, I believe Brett Wagner, our consultant who was doing the income survey for us, said he got about 6 folks who did the income survey at the meeting. So we were happy for that. And they're going to spend this week and I believe next week going out to the homes to see, to finish the.
Is there so some people are going to be still very apprehensive about that.
Oh, yeah.
I know I would. Is there a way to send that through the mail or do it through some kind of digital means that might make people feel a little bit more comfortable than having somebody knock on the door and go, how much money do you make?
Right.
Yeah. It's just, I understand the personability there, but.
And we fully understand that, there are probably going to be some people who are never going to get on board. Because it is very personal information.
Yeah.
So that's why we really wanted to spend some time in our town hall last week, really getting people to understand why we are doing this is important and how they can help them basically.
And could we set up another meeting just for that particular purpose of getting people in to do that? So they're working with the county.
We could definitely look into that. We have a really tight time frame.
Yeah,
to get our grant applications in. Again, Brett is going to spend several days in the next week and a half out there. Hopefully, it's getting as many as possible. He's got some information he'll leave on their doors if they don't answer the door. So they do have the opportunity to look it over and then maybe send it back in or give somebody a call. If we have to get a pretty high rate of response for the USDA and CDBG to even accept it.
Yeah.
So if, I think we're going to probably, kind of evaluate where we are at, middle of next week to see how many responses we've received and he's been able to collect. And kind of just go from there.
Even with CDBG, that's even a high rate of response. It's still not going to be a guarantee. I mean, that's
right. Yeah,
it's
and that's
really tough funds to get.
Yeah.
Tough funds, and you weren't there, but Sam said they've allocated additional funds because they didn't use it all. And last year they were very successful. And he's very optimistic that we will get a lot of the funds. And then also regarding gathering that information, I think it's actually a benefit not having county staff involved. And I don't think people would want to attend a meeting to where they're asked to give that information either. I think the more private they are. And so I think and they mentioned it there, how only us, the consultants, see this information. The county does not. And so I think that's a benefit.
For statistics. And the one thing I thought was kind of different was they have 2 forms they have to do. One of them they don't have to sign and the other one they do, which that would be one that I would even say, I don't know if I'm going to sign this.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
again, it's a tough line, because of course we need this information from them, but we also understand it's very personal, difficult information for people to give up. So
somebody comes to my door, regardless if it's a consultant or a county official, and we have a tough time when we do census work, doing the same thing. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that we do a great job at it, and I don't know how we can do it better, but we really have to present this as we're helping you and you need to help yourself. I mean, because these individuals' only other option is, if they had to do this on their own, they'd have to give this information to a bank where they'd have to get it financed through. And this is an opportunity to get 75% of it paid for. You know, you go to a bank and do it on your own, you can't do that. And it's sad, but true. Some of those house values will go to zero and they won't have anything of value.
Yeah.
And it was said there, I mean, Craig or someone said that and it needed to be said. People have to hear that. Here's your options. And the county's kind of been looked at as the bad guy in this whole thing. And we're actually there to help them. We don't have to do this. This isn't.
I know. I've had several people reach out to me and this is the lesser of both evils. It's we help you now and try to get you through this and try to get it taken care of, or you're going to have nothing. You're not going to have a house to be able to stay in once those systems fail. And I would think that would be the rock bottom or that threshold, but
one lady
isn't looked at that way.
One lady even
It's
has
just
the
not.
impression and said multiple times, so you're trying to kill Keats. We're trying to do
Yeah,
just
I
the
heard
that.
exact
I heard that.
opposite.
Yeah.
We're trying to revive it
Right.
and keep it being a viable community. And she said that a couple of times, and
Yeah,
that
I
can be
talked to
further
them
from the
too.
truth.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and excuse me, and it's just one of those things, we just know with a lot of these things we do. Unfortunately, we're never gonna get, everybody 100% on board. But, again, I think our consultant Sam did a really good job of gently reminding folks, but firmly reminding folks that we are doing this for you folks. You got to help us fill out this income survey so we can get you as much money as possible. So,
Yeah.
so hopefully, we kind of, calm some fears or some concerns, of folks, and they'll help us, provide us this information. But definitely keep you all posted on that response rate. And hopefully we get what we need to be able to apply. So.
Okay. Good deal.
Let's see, what else? So of course I have listed on here, all the different, applications and reviews that have gone to our planning board. As you can see, they have been very, very busy, and we anticipate them to be very busy, over the next several months at least. It's of course not to be unexpected. Things are busy picking back up again, even though we never really slowed down for the winter like we normally do. So things are just lots of different applications, just all kinds of different things, varying in complexities, as you can see. We also have had several, again, this is just May, several pre-application processes for a wide variety of conditional uses, variances, those sorts of things. And lots of environmental health permits issued as well. So we are busy.
Yeah.
Let's see, so I talked about the NG 911 letter. The other thing I do want to mention here, and this kind of goes along, I mentioned it when we talked budget a few weeks ago. I am looking for a new electronic permitting system. Our current system just isn't meeting our needs, but we are going to, timing wise, we're going to have to hang on to it for at least another year. Just that's how the contract works. There's not enough time to implement a new system before we have to renew with our current system. So in the meantime, probably in the coming weeks, I'm going to be issuing a request for proposals to again, get RFPs for new permit systems. So several of them that I've spoken to in the past few weeks, of course, like everything, things are so backed up right now. So again, that's why we did make the decision not to try to push in the next few months to get a new permit system before our current one expires, because it's just not gonna happen. One system said they were like 9 to 12 months out. So that's why I want to start now.
Was there not a component with OpenGov?
There is a component,
Okay.
so I've
Oh, I
looked
didn't
at,
like that. Okay,
yes,
okay.
I've looked at 3 so far, and the budget planning committee have reviewed, we've had extensive discussions. OpenGov, while it would be, we agree it would be wonderful because, we're doing, components of that with our other systems, it's very expensive.
Okay.
It's pretty much double what some of the other systems are.
Okay.
And while again, it's a very robust system, I can't quite figure out, why that particular one is so much more. So now that doesn't mean they're necessarily out of the running by any means. They will receive, their RFP as well, and we encourage anybody and everybody to, submit for it so we can go through them. But that's kind of our initial thinking with that.
Okay, fair enough. I just thought I'd throw that out there because I went through the list of those different components.
We've talked about it.
Okay, I was gonna say planning was part of it. I didn't
Yes.
notice that. So, okay.
Yeah, so again, I'll be working on that again over the next few weeks. We'll, so that'll be a 3-month process to kind of see what we receive and we can go through and see how we want to do that. But definitely kind of needing to really pre-plan, because it's gonna take some time to make that transition, so. I think that's all I have for you, but I'm always happy to answer any questions or collect any information you need.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. You have Clancy with an executive session. Clancy, I assume you want that full 15?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
You said till 10:30.
Yes, please.
Somebody said it, didn't Rick?
Yep. Let's see. I move that the county commission, including Chairman Ford, Commissioner Foki, recess into executive session on pending litigation for the purpose of consultation with Craig Cox, Deputy County Counselor, and Clancy Holman, Riley County Counselor, attorneys for the commission, which would be deemed privileged in the open attorney-client open relationship and an exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, and the open meeting to resume in the county commission chamber at 10:30 a.m.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Move the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session.
Second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll also move that the record reflect no binding action was taken during the executive session. Need a second on that too.
Oh, second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And looks like Ron's up next. So
Good morning, commissioners.
morning.
Appreciate the opportunity to visit with you a little bit on a couple things that are going on in the city, and I actually brought handouts.
Okay, some visuals. I see quite a few visuals around town, in person, just
There you go.
throwing that out.
Yeah.
there. So, okay.
There are,
Oh,
especially
yes.
with orange, right?
Yes. Yes, yes.
Another class. No, it's okay. Well, I thought I'd lead off, I'm sure you've heard a little bit about the proposed addition of the Museum of Light and Art
Yes.
down at the Starbond District at the south end by the Discovery Center. And so the city commission formally considered that amendment to our redevelopment plan. Just kind of some history. They did that Tuesday and agreed to move forward with it on first reading. So just a reminder, the Starbond District is the south district, so it's kind of bounded by 4th Street on the west, Fort Riley Boulevard on the south and east, and then Pierre Street on the north. And that was set up. We received a $50 million star bond to help build the Discovery Center, the building itself, as well as some of the other improvements. The Blue Earth Park, part of the parking garage, about half the parking garage was paid for with star bond. Some of the other streetscape and other amenities down in that southern district. And so those bonds were originally scheduled to run through 2027. The revenue for that comes mainly from the North District. So that would be the area, think Best Buy, Dick's, Hy-Vee, Olive Garden, all of that area. So bounded by Tuttle Creek Boulevard on the east, Bluemont on the north, 4th Street on the west, and then Leavenworth on the south. So we get to capture that state sales tax. That's part of that, as well as the city portion of the local taxes. We exempted the county when we set that up from that tax. So that district has overperformed. So it's one of the best star bond stories in the state of Kansas. If you look at their summary, they're, just about everybody's still about what their bond level is and just been paying interest off. Out of our 50 million, we have 10 left. That's the last annual report, and those will pay off this year. So that had a super sinker design to it. And so it was designed that there was extra revenue, it would go to pay off the bonds early. So that's what's happened. You might recall we did a little over a year ago or so, a couple of years now, looked at a proposal. We knew that was going to happen from the forecast. And so we looked at how do we capture that remaining 5 years. So nobody in the state has ever done this. I mean, they've created new 20-year districts, but nobody's paid off early and had extra years that might be able to finance another project. And so ultimately, initially that project out on Kimball for the Snyder Museum was approved, and then the new Secretary of Commerce came along and said, no, I think it needs to be contiguous. And so that kind of led to the development that the Bryans have been working on this proposal for this museum for about 2 to 3 years locally and looking for a location. And so it kind of just really fit that, well, here's a project that's coming in with all private money to build the rest of it as well as operate it. And so that's the proposal moving forward. There's a lot of phases left. This redevelopment, to modify the redevelopment plan to add this as a second project within the district would go second reading by the commission in June 15th. Then that would show the state that the locals are supporting at least that aspect of it. Then it would be up to the Secretary of Commerce to either approve the project for star bonds or not. We've had meetings with the state, and they are looking favorably towards it. There's some I's to dot, T's to cross, but I think they're certainly excited about the opportunity. The museum is truly unique. If you go to our packet, there's a link in there that takes you to the museum in Paris, where the Bryans traveled and got this concept. And it's truly remarkable. It would be a world-class facility. It truly puts us in another level as far as having amenities that would attract not only out of state, but world travelers to the facility. So it's very impressive.
There was a YouTube video.
There is,
correct? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I did see that.
And so it's exciting to have something like that, and folks like this in your community that have stepped forward and wanted. They also have a lot of their own private art and are willing to create an endowment to help operate the facility with private funds. So we're excited about it. Once that process happens, then there's also a pre-development agreement, which just makes we're going to cooperate to get to a formal agreement if you get approval to have a star bonds. And so it would have to go through a PUD amendment process from a zoning perspective. It would have to have a final development agreement. It's proposed to be built on a portion of the city's parking lot. There's utility relocations that would have to occur. Part of the Discovery Center's geothermal system is under that parking lot. Would have to be abandoned and replaced. So there's a lot of actions yet to come and discussion yet to come. But we're excited about it. Obviously, we think it'd be a great improvement for the community and the entire area. So we wanted you to be familiar with it. Positive impact again on the overall economy of the community, and not really many downsides. Not competing really with any of the other museums. It's a whole nother level of attraction in the community. So just wanted to be aware of it. If you have questions about it going forward, happy to look at that.
I do have one question, and I've not really looked at it. This is a private enterprise, and so this will go on my tax rolls.
So it is a not-for-profit.
It's a not.
So it's a private not-for-profit. So it's ultimately it's one of those things that Greg will have to evaluate as the appraiser to see whether it meets the exemption purpose for being off the tax rolls. But the assumption, at least going forward, is that it would probably not be on the tax roll.
So it will always be a not-for-profit organization, or will they turn it over to the city or the county eventually, or how would that work?
They're proposing it to be a not-for-profit and not the city will have to issue the bonds because it's associated with the original star bonds. So it's a second phase of the project, but the city will have no obligation to repay those bonds. They'll be set up, it'll be like an industrial revenue bond type of program, where we're just facilitating it. It will be on our books, but we will have no obligation to whoever underwrites the bonds in private placement will have that responsibility.
And the endowment to start with is large enough that it would certainly cover the operational expenses for a long time, at least enough to cover the bond itself. So there wouldn't be any operational stuff side coming back to the city that would be, at least in my opinion, any ad valorem, whether it's property tax or sales tax outside of that. So that's what makes it also a pretty good sale at this particular point in time too.
And it's not displacing any facility that is paying property tax currently.
And actually, I would think
that was the challenge, trying to locate it other places in the community.
And I would actually think at this point in time of where it's actually being located, it would be an enhancement for several things, including the Discovery Center and maybe more importantly, Manhattan Town Center. As in bringing people into this, or then bring them into those other spots because it's close enough to both park and on a nice day like today walk. So and
conferences for
true
extra activities. So I think it's a win-win. Again, a lot of details to work out yet, but I just wanted to update you because I know it's been in the news and it hasn't been in the news.
Yeah, it's kind of popped up quick on the radar and boom, it was just kind of there.
Come to
So,
the
yeah.
limelight.
Yeah.
So, but if you have questions moving forward, don't hesitate to give us a call and ask. The second handout I did was a grant that the regional council obtained for looking at remediation projects. And the EPA provided about a $600,000 grant, and we hired Stantec to be able to do some analysis here. There's been some, I think it was a little over a week ago, there was a open house kind of out in that area to, looking at if we had an opportunity to redo Plaza West, what would that look like? And kind of a redevelopment opportunity. And so that's really the planning aspect, and still provide sound flood and environmental mitigation to what occurs there. And so, a lot of that thought would be, well, you would probably flip-flop stuff and put the buildings up against Anderson, and that lower area would all be not developed, or parking, or some other component. So how do you rebuild that value that we've lost?
That
in much
picture's
of that
amazing.
area?
Yeah.
That picture's amazing.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
How far that
Aerial, I've
water
never
goes.
seen the aerial.
It's something because the county had looked at purchasing some lands, not in that area, but kind of in the Amherst area, ambulance. But like our flood professional here says, each year it continues to get worse where it's flooded.
Yeah.
And so just envision that if the next one's worse.
Right.
Well, this was a 500-year type of scenario, and
Sometimes that's never come up and over the.
Yeah.
Over the.
But remember, the time before that was the first time it had ever went that far as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is his point.
And it wasn't 500 years.
As the intensities seem to get worse and the duration's shorter, those flash flooding.
I think in some of these cases, it also depends on where you put specific economic development, whether it's residential, commercial,
Sure.
or combination of that obviously changes direction and flow of these. And of course, how many times you get a big thunderstorm that comes through and just basically sits right over the area. It doesn't have that scenario doesn't happen very often, which was the case here. So it was a perfect, pardon my pun, perfect storm in this particular situation. So
It'd be nice to see that get redeveloped.
It would. That
it doesn't
It's a
look
great location.
we'd be astonished if we looked at what the maximum value was for that
Yeah.
shopping center at one point in time,
Mhm.
when everything was flourishing there
Mhm.
versus what it is today.
Oh, yeah.
So we've lost a lot of value.
I guess my curiosity on this is how does that incorporate with the Stepchild's corridor study there? And does that flow over
I
into
think
it or
it
just
certainly
not?
could.
Yeah, okay.
And as part of that, one of the options for the corridor was to get rid of the interchange.
Yeah.
And that would take a lot of that right of way back
Yeah.
and make it more available for commercial use.
Yeah.
So that certainly could lead to that. But any way you look at it is we make improvements on that corridor that has impact, obviously,
Sure.
around that neighborhood and that area. As we'll soon see when the car wash and the coffee shop open up, congestion probably can't get much worse of trying to squeeze things into spots. So having I think.
I don't know, just me, I think you're going to have to redirect traffic and how that flows in and out of both the north and south side of West Loop at some point in time to probably make that work. And that's maybe an easy solution, but yeah.
That's gonna be a real
For
mess.
the time
There's quite a
being.
bit of parking to work with there, but they may.
Kind of depends. I mean,
Get rid of it and
during the winter
focus
months,
on-
more people will go over and get coffee and
Yeah.
probably not so much car wash. And this time of the year, people will be going to get car washes and maybe not coffee
Well,
so
the
much.
problem is
So,
it's even tough to pull out of
I know.
Dillon's parking lot
Yeah.
into just that thoroughflow
Yeah.
that goes through that area,
Yeah.
let alone once you get out to the stop.
I think it feels like to me, you almost have to reverse that flow of traffic there and stop it back at the other point instead of where it's at.
I'm sure you haven't thought of any of this.
We've had lots of discussions.
I'm sure he's going, yeah.
I gotta hear this again.
Everybody's.
Sorry, Ron.
So
It's been on everyone's
I feel
mind.
you're gonna.
I'm gonna probably go out on a limb here and say probably a roundabout's been taken out of that equation.
I don't quite it. So, yeah, I haven't heard about around.
Okay.
I don't want to.
I haven't
I don't want
either.
to start.
I haven't either, and I'm hoping we don't there because I don't think that's the answer. So
That'd be an emergency.
Maybe internal to the shopping center.
yeah,
We don't have any control over that.
code.
All right. Well,
Sorry.
anyway, I wanted you to be aware of both of those projects because they've been in the news lately.
Yeah.
Aggieville continues to go well. If you haven't been down there and watched the tinker blocks go up, the big crane, that's
I
kind of a
literally-
fascinating process.
Yeah, I literally was down there Friday. I usually after work I stop and pick up Chipotle on the way home, and kind of have to work my way in and out of there to do that, which that's fine. And noticed that the first set of walkways went up in there, and then I was back down there Monday and was like, holy cow. I mean, they really have that whole little east side there just about blocked in.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm really.
it's amazing how quick it goes.
Yeah.
They've got a pretty good process
Yeah.
worked out. We're staging some of the vehicles or the trailers. It's a different approach than we used over they're just staging the trailers there so the folks bringing the new stuff can pick it empty up and go. With the hotel parking garage, they staged operating trucks there, which the neighbors didn't really like too well across from the park. So I think it's a better plan.
Okay.
Once it starts going together, as long as you got the next parts to go, it goes pretty quick. So we're feeling good about that aspect of things, and obviously you still have some weather delays. They do have all the infrastructure in underneath 14th and Laramie, so that should start as soon as things dry out there a little bit. We should be able to at least get one lane of traffic and maybe that intersection back open. We have more work to do on 14th north of Laramie, so to Anderson. Mainly that's sidewalk work, and then we have intersection improvements to do at Anderson itself, new signals. New walkway on the east side, new curb and gutter, new ADA ramps, all of that on those four corners. Right now, you really only there is no crossing on the east side of the intersection. So some good improvements that are going to occur there. Not the hotel contractor, our McCown Gordon contractor for Aggieville is working on the new sidewalks adjacent to the hotel on Bluemont down to 12th. So we're still got that lane blocked off while they're doing that, and they'll put new sidewalks, new streetscape, new lighting in those, turn the corner and do that on 12th Street back up to the alley. And
Are they going to do the north side first to get that open back up and then move back to 12th? Or are they going to do that in reverse?
So they were pouring the south side yesterday.
That's what I saw.
They have
too.
some work to do on the north.
I saw
think
the
they're gonna
forms for
finish
it,
up
so-
on the south side, and then they'll go jump.
Okay.
Yeah, they were pouring concrete yesterday on the sidewalk.
I saw the forms for doing that.
Fire hydrant
Yeah.
there this morning, so.
Okay.
So that's starting to go well. The next phase we're in final design on is the stretch of North Manhattan from Bluemont south to Fremont. So focusing on that section to Laramie, because once we get the garage done, and we go to future phases like Morrow and other places, we want to make sure the garage is fully accessible from Laramie Street and North Manhattan, because we may be shutting off more interior roads for circulation purposes. So that's going well. We did have the other city lot at what we call the Laramie parking lot, surface lot out for a redevelopment proposal. So we had RFPs advertised for that. We only got one proposal on that, which we were a little surprised, but it was a local team that has submitted on that. This was this first phase was qualifications to select someone to go to the next phase with, would be to be invited to submit a proposal. So since they were the only one, they have been invited to submit a more detailed proposal about how they might redevelop that particular block. So that will be something you'll hear about in the near future. Kind of switching to construction, the weather kind of slowed down our Kimball project there at Candlewood. And they found quite a bit of bad soil. So, one of the things, the strategy we've been with a lot of our recent street replacement is we've gone down to the base because most of our bases are in very poor condition, which just causes all the streets to, it's hard to put that kind of money into the street improvements just to have that soil move so much around and break that up quicker. So we've been more about full depth replacement and fixing bases. And
Yeah, I was noticing out there too, you've got some kind of a rollout metal meshing.
It's a geogrid.
Okay.
So it's a stabilizer. So instead of having to dig deeper and haul new material in, we can put that geogrid in and stabilize those bad soils.
I thought maybe that was some kind of a replacement for the rebar when you start coming up to the actual decking.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's really to stabilize that base.
Okay.
So
It's
they'll put that on
It
the
almost looks like mesh that you would like roll out for landscaping and then put your mulch and stuff on there, and
it basically, I'm not an engineer, but what they tell me, it's a deflection screen. So instead of all of that movement cracking up through the pavement, it spreads it.
Probably out.
And then you got gravel on top of that. So before, all that pavement was just laying on that bad soil.
Oh, so they've already must have laid some, because I've seen gravel that they've already packed down.
The whole area wasn't bad, but there was I think about a 500-foot section.
So they put the mesh down over the bare ground and then put the gravel on top of that as a way to go all the way down and spread it out. Interesting. Okay. I knew there had to be there. I've never seen that before, and that was
You've heard of the Schluter underlayment for tile, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's probably similar to that, because you lay that down under,
It's a pretty tight, I mean, I didn't get out and look at it, but it's a very, very tight mesh. And you normally, your metal plates are that, 3x5 or something like that they lay down. And sometimes they'll use it for, when they put their cones and stuff on them, they'll lay it on top of that as an extra bound of structure within the pavement, but you're even going down deeper than that.
Yeah.
And that probably has something to do with the fact that you've got quite a bit of water flow coming through that area. And
your plan was to replace a lot of the soil with 83, with gravel base.
Right. And you're also moving down an entryway to a shopping center.
Yes.
Down that way too. Right. So you're going to have in and out traffic that changes the movement too. So yeah.
So they're getting closer to be able to start. We're coming back with asphalt.
Okay.
Full depth in layers like we did on the phase that we did in 19, just to the east. So they've got the new stormwater barrels in on that side, and that's really going to help relieve traffic or to storm drainage that was flowing down to the State Street drainage. What was happening was that barrel, the single barrel, was filling up there at Seco where the big ditches on the north side, and would overflow the street and go down to the next drainage system, which is the State Street drainage, and there's been some flooding in that area. So we're picking more of that up to put it into the Seco detention systems that we work to create, which will more than absorb that flow.
I also had one other question on that project, Ron. Is there going to be any changes to the Reef intersection there, either going, I guess, back south on Reef, or, where that turnoff is coming back onto Sethchild's there? Or are they changing anything with that?
So. Not on Reef. Just the only other side is the new entrance to the shopping center.
Yeah, okay.
So that's, moving forward. We anticipate the same type of process once we get the new asphalt on. We'll switch traffic over and then start on the westbound lanes. I'm sure that soil issue will still be there. We got those barrels, and then we're also burying. We're getting rid of it, and you can see portions of it that have collapsed, the concrete line channel, and that'll all be new culvert and buried, and a wider sidewalk will go there too. So there's some great improvements that are going to occur there. Speaking of Kimball, so we're still doing some landscape and streetscape work on College and Kimball. Weather's kind of impacted that schedule. So there'll be some periodic lane closures on that curb line lane, just to give the workers a better chance to put irrigation and some of the plant material in and that sort of thing. But it's making some improvements, and getting along the underground electric has been done for that next phase. And then we've also awarded underground electric for North Manhattan. So North Manhattan will have completely be buried from Kimball all the way to Bluemont. when this is done,
Oh, wow.
which is a really nice improvement.
Kind of getting to that time of the year where sod doesn't necessarily work too well in that scenario. Are they going to wait till a little later in the summer or early fall to actually plant grass there, or is there?
I don't know what they've got planned.
Yeah.
I know sod was the original,
Yeah.
so if that, they may have allocated it, and they may wait.
I guess if you got irrigation in there, you
They
can
do
usually
have
make that. You
irrigation,
can make that probably work.
They
But
should be able to get it to go.
okay, and all the new signage and stuff out there. I've got a little power cap already up there on the
gate
little
signs,
yeah, and then out there in
Those
that
are
intersection. there.
internally lit.
Yeah,
And those,
interesting. Yeah.
the little wheat baskets are lit too.
Saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the other Kimball phases. So I think I briefed you. We got 2 more Kimball phases in the pipeline that'll start this year. So the next one to start, we're waiting on the AG's office to approve some easements that K-State has submitted on both these next phases. So the next one, which should bid later this month, would be the section between Denison and North Manhattan. Once that gets let, there'll be a full closure of that. It'll be done in 2 different phases. There'll be a section that keeps the access to MBAF open off of there, and then there'll be a section that closes that as well. So hoping for bids. Obviously, material prices have been impacting things, and so we're hopeful that we can still move forward on that. We have about a $4.5 million grant from KDOT to help with that section of it. So it should be something that moves forward. And then the next phase, which basically goes from where we stopped on Kimball at the west stadium entrance, or the west parking lot entrance to the stadium, and it goes all the way past Growing. So it incorporates the new brain science intersection. That'll be a signalized intersection and improved to that section. Now, the other big improvement of that is it creates a back frontage road that'll come out actually on College, north of Kimball, and feed all of those buildings that are currently have driveways on Kimball, and all of those driveways go away. So that was a big seller with KDOT from a safety improvement and to help with traffic flow. And one of the reasons they also provided us with a nice grant.
What provides offset.
And so the focus will be, even though, and that'll bid later this summer, and it'll get awarded with the idea that they'll work on that back frontage road until football's done. And then once football's done, then it'll be very similar to what it just was for College and Kimball. Keeping traffic flowing, but down to single lanes. So anyway, if everything goes right. A couple other things, obviously, we are embarking on a housing study. We put that on hold during COVID. It was something that was approved for last year. They had 7 or 9 proposals, so they're going to interview firms and whittle that down and make a recommendation for the commission. So you'll see that on the future agenda. Opened the Anthony Recreation Center, so if you hadn't had a chance to go out and take a look at that, it's an amazing improvement and a great partnership with the school district for that location. Eisenhower's proceeding well, and we're anticipating in near the end of July to get control of that and then have another opening there as well. So I know they transferred the Rich will relate to this because I think some of his kids participated in it. The girls volleyball that used to be at the rec center at K-State, that summer league is now at Anthony, and that parking lot's been full the last few nights with folks filling that. So it's getting a good break in already. So as we use that, kind of related to recreational facilities, as with K-State announcing the closure of the auditorium, there's been a group working to look at a replacement indoor facility for the community. And so as part of that, Tracy Anderson with Anderson Knight Architects, as well as McCown Board of Construction, are teaming up with a national pool firm of Councilman Hunsinger, which also consulted actually in our city aquatic park, to do a feasibility study. And it's about $120,000 study. They're donating services. They asked the commission to put in $15,000 towards that. And so everything else is either being donated or privately funded. So that will end up with a feasibility study that looks at, Bruce McMillan did one for kind of an indoor aquatics master plan there at Seco by the outdoor pool. And so they'll look at that concept as well as comparing it to some other possibilities. And then bring back, here's, what we think the community should have, and here's some options to proceed forward. So more to come on that. That's probably going to be later this fall before we'll have that. But the commission did authorize to move forward with that partnership with them, at least to do the study. Let's see. I just, you may or may not be aware, apparently the health department has some sourcing of some grant funds that are specific to, that are outside some of our other normal grant fund programs. We had a great partnership this last year at the headquarters fire station, with that being transforming that into an emergency operations center, and then continuing that with our contact tracers and all of that. And so I know the fire department has submitted some information to Julie to consider a grant through that program that they have available to help make some improvements, mainly to that lecture hall, which would upgrade the electronics, would help accommodate future actions like that. We spent a lot of time out there. I mean, that's not our EOC, but we've transformed it into an EOC when we've had to. We spent a lot of time out there in 2019 on flood watch. So I think they'd be great improvements. Don't know if it's coming forward, but I think it's, I want to say it was about $90,000 of improvements that were targeted for mainly technology improvements in that big lecture hall.
Yep.
Would be helpful and could be used. That's a room we make available to the community as well. So anyway, any questions you all or comments?
Pretty comprehensive.
Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you. Enjoy the sun.
Yes, we will.
Warmer weather. We did open our pools
Saw that.
for a couple hours, but there were about 35 kids there, and everybody was turning blue when they jumped in. So they decided to close. They did open yesterday.
Okay, well, it's gonna get
Got some
warmer over the
warmer weather
weekend, so
coming.
yeah, we'll be
that's all
good.
good.
We'll be good.
It's good to be back to normal. But as I mentioned to Rich, as we were waiting, the great sales tax report last month.
Yeah.
And part of that, I think, was a key for, we did the community development district on the mall.
Yeah.
And so in March of 20, that generated, it normally generates about 25,000 on a monthly basis. In the holiday shopping, it's about 40. But in March of 20, it was 19,000. In March of this year, it was 36,000.
Yeah.
So good to see, even the online compensated use tax was down, which from the previous month, even though it was up from the past year, it was good to see more folks getting that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
All right. Take care.
Take care, Ron. See you.
Morning, Barry.
Morning.
All right, go ahead, Barry.
I guess first off, I'm here to ask, Commission's permission to fill a position. I know I'm here for a staff update, so I guess this kind of ties into it, but last week I was informed that our office manager had taken a position, HR position in another county, and she's been with us since December. Before that, she was with Mr. Bardo, but can't blame her. It's a human resources position, which is what she wanted to do. But that is a position that is critical to the function of our office, and so I would like to move forward with filling that position. I believe Elizabeth Ward has prepared documents and submitted them to her, so we can begin advertising and trying to fill that position.
How long was Kathy there before? Quite a long time, wasn't she?
She was there, I don't remember when, she was a legal secretary for a while, and I think she was the office manager for about 20 years, probably, so 20, 25 years.
Need a motion, commissioners?
Yeah, I don't have any issues with that. It's fine. I can go ahead and make a motion to refill the office manager's position in county attorney's office.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Both, please.
The other part of my, I guess, staff update is we're obviously down to as of next week, we'll be down an office manager. We do believe we have down 2 attorneys right now. We believe we have one coming on board in June. Just a matter of getting all the formalities out of the way. He's currently in the military, is retiring this month, and then we'll be joining our office on June 28th. And so once that happens, I will bring him over here. We're still in the process of trying to fill another attorney position, and that's really kind of where we're at right now. Hope to start moving. I think we're supposed to be moving forward with trials. I know I've been saying that. It's probably a broken record for 6 months now, but we think we're finally going to have one start next week. So that will be good news. I think that will start helping break some of the backlog once we can get some of these trials moving.
How did your jury selection go over at Wareham?
Well, that's what we're going to find out starting next Thursday. So.
I thought it was this past week.
They were going to do one, and that one got continued.
Oh, okay.
And I think there may have been a conflict with something that was previously scheduled at the Wareham, but next Thursday and Friday, I believe, is the plan to start picking a jury in that venue. So I think it's going to work. My personal opinion is I think it's going to work really well. That's, right next to the courthouse. It's, really kind of what everybody's used to. So I think that things are starting to break free, so to speak. And I think the Wareham is going to really be a good venue to do what we need to do.
Okay. Good.
So, yeah. Otherwise, things are kind of, plugging along as best.
Feel like it's getting back to normal a little bit at least.
A little bit. It's for us. It's still going to be getting some trials out of the way, getting some some cases that have been lingering for 2 years, getting those move forward. Once that happens, and everybody's the clouds kind of keep building over our heads, and when we get some of those moved out of the way, it's going to be everybody's going to feel a lot better.
Good. Okay.
That's all I really have right now.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, Barry. Have a good day.
Okay, well, that was the last item on the agenda for the day. So at the moment, I don't have anything else.
I have no additional business, commissioners.
Okay. So Clancy, anything?
Not for me.
Okay. Okay. So I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Actually, do we need to make that a motion after the law board meeting today? No? Okay. Okay. Because I guess that's on them. Okay. So it's been moved to adjourn. So